All right, so for crafting, we're going to make this as simple as possible because it is extremely complex and needlessly so. So for crafting, the first thing you're going to do is at the very beginning of the game, you're going to have a note in your inventory, you're going to click on that, and it's going to start a quest. That quest will take you to an NPC that will give you your starter harvesting tools and all of those kinds of things. That NPC will also give you 2 tokens. Those tokens are for learning a trade skill. That trade skill, you can only have 2 trade skills in the game. You cannot change those later. So make sure you're choosing the 2 trade skills that you want. And then trade skills are going to be based on your character's level. So I am a level 24 warrior. So that means that I can go up to level 72 in a trade skill, skill wise. Okay. I'll show you that here in just a second. Once you have those 2 tokens, you're going to then go to your trade skill person. You'll know what they are by the name right here. We're going to be using Weaponsmith as our example for this video. I'm already a Weaponsmith, and you're going to go to them and you're going to turn in your trade skill and you're going to learn how to do your trade from them. Once you have learned how to do your trade, you can hit I for inventory. Go right over here to the Professions tab. This is where you're going to equip all of your trade skill or your harvesting tools, which you would have gotten from that first quest NPC in the very beginning of the game. So they'll give you all the harvesting tools to start your harvesting. And then over here, it'll list your profession skills. If you haven't picked a profession skill, it's only going to show you the harvesting ones at this point. But if you have picked a profession skill, there are several of them in the game: armorsmithing, weaponsmithing, leatherworking, tailoring, provisioning, and alchemy, I think, are the main ones that you can choose right now. There might be another one that I'm not thinking of. And then there are sub crafting that you get from each of those. Those sub craftings are things like blacksmithing and smelting. I get blacksmithing and smelting from armorsmithing or weaponsmithing. So no matter which one you choose, armorsmithing or weaponsmithing, you will also get blacksmithing and smelting. Blacksmithing will allow you to make tools. Smelting obviously allows you to break down the ore that you can go and harvest to then make ingots or bars that you will then create your final products out of. Same thing with tailoring and leatherworking. Those also have weaving and maybe tanning or something. I can't remember what the other one is. You need smelting for alchemy as well. So smelting also comes with alchemy according to chat. So you will get some of these subcomponents or sub professions with your primary profession. So don't worry about getting those. Just make sure you're getting your primary profession first. Once you have all of that stuff, you can see over here that I have a maximum of 72. That maximum of 72 is based on your character's class level. So I'm a 24 warrior. So 24 times 3 is where the 72 comes from. So whatever your level is times 3 is going to be the max that you can do. And that will matter for all of the different schematics that you're going to be learning. So hopefully that goes over everything as far as that's concerned. Once you have chosen your profession, you have leveled up a little bit, and you want to start working on your profession, you're going to go to your profession person and you're going to right click on them. And this is where you're going to buy all of the basic schematics. This is going to get you started with your profession. Except for provisioning and alchemy, those are a little bit different. I'll have to make a different video on those. But for your, fletching and woodworking, those are also in the game. I did not mention those a minute ago. But the rest of these kind of all work the same. So once you have that, you can come over here and you can start buying all of your different schematics that you need. Make sure that you are double, triple, quadruple checking the wording, because some of these are they're very similar in their words, but they are not the same thing. And that's going to become more prevalent as you get a little bit higher. And I'm going to show you that here later on as well, because it gets even more complicated than what I'm going to show you here in the beginning. So once you buy the schematic that you need, you buy those from here, and you're ready to start crafting. You are then going to go to your crafting location of choice. So you could go, to woodworking or whatever. I'm going to be using smelting. So I've already smelted my ore. Actually, we'll go ahead and smelt the ore. We're going to start from the very, very basic. We'll go all the way through the process on the first thing because it's going to be needed. Do I have any ore that I can smelt? Yes, I do. So we have this ore right here and this ore right here. Okay, so I've got a bunch of ore that I can smelt. We're not going to smelt all of it, but we'll come right here and we'll go to smelting. So for smelting, you go to ore, and then you're going to break that down. For something like leatherworking, you might go to the tanner table or the tanning vat, or for tailoring, you're going to go to like a loom. There's different places that you go for different things, so you need to find those. They should be near where you picked up your trade skill at. So for smelting, we're going to go smelting. It takes 2 of the Asherite ore to then make Asherite lumps. You're going to click on that, and this is going to be our blacksmithing skill, or our smelting skill, sorry. This is our smelting skill. You can see what the skill is over here on the side. It'll say smelting. So that's what skill you're going to be using, and we're going to make, up whatever kind of ore we want. So you'll notice that you do get ore, or lumps of Asherium, but we're also getting other components as well. Specifically right now, we are getting these copper nuggets, and then I think we're also getting, some of these right here, bismuth flakes. So you're going to get additional subcomponents. Those subcomponents are used in other things, so you want to hold on to them. But for right now, for the very beginning, it's not going to be a big deal. So if you do get subcomponents, just put them in your bank and hold on to them. So we're breaking down and we're getting these lumps of Asherium. So then at this point, we need to turn those into bars. So we're going to go to Asherium refining. As you level up, you will be able to get bulk refining. So once you can get that, you can just do it a little bit faster. But in the beginning, you're just going to have Asherium refining. You notice that this is 3 lumps to make 1 bar. And down here is 15. So it doesn't give you any more. It's not more efficient other than time-wise. So we're going to use the 15 lumps that we have here, and that's going to make us 5 bars. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. And boom, we got 5 Asherium bars. So that's how you get the bars for the crafting. Let me go ahead and put in a torch so we can actually see a little bit since it turned dark on us. Now we're going to be going to the forge. So we have already purchased from the weaponsmith or armorsmith or whatever you're doing. We're gonna look at weaponsmithing since that's the one I showed you. We've already purchased the schematics for that. So let's say we're gonna make a dagger. That's gonna be an easy one to do. We're gonna make this crude dagger. This is what I want. So it's telling me that I need a novice dagger blade and I need a novice weapon hilt. So again, you need to go back to the armorsmith or the weaponsmith if you have not purchased those yet and buy the novice dagger blade and the novice weapon hilt. Now we're going to search for those. So novice dagger blade is going to be this one right here. This is going to require an Asherium bar and then a crude grinding stone. The Asherium bar is what we just made, so that's super simple. And then a crude grinding stone, you can buy from the supplier if you don't have any, which is this guy again right here. I don't know if I showed you this guy yet. The supplier has a lot of your secondary components, including secondary crafting components from other trade skills. So for example, these tattered leather strips, a leather worker can make these for you, or you can come over here and buy them. So they're 10 copper from this guy, or if you have some tattered leather pelts, you can give those to a leather worker and they can turn those into tattered leather strips for you. Next, we're going to need the crude grinding stone, which you could buy there, but you could also get them dropped off of mobs. I probably have a bunch of them in here already, so I don't need to buy them. Let's see, rough, crude. There we go. So we got crude grinding stone. We're going to go ahead and take that over here. And we are going to make that blade. So now we're going to go back to the forge and we're going to do dagger. Here we go. Novice dagger blade. We need 1 crude grinding stone and 2 Asherium bars. We're going to click craft. This is going to be under our weaponsmith crafting. So that will level up your weaponsmith if it's not already maxed out. That will level it up so that you can make higher level stuff. The next thing we needed was the novice weapon hilt. So we're going to go back over here and we're going to do novice. Let's just do this novice blade hilt They have weird names. Again, double, triple, quadruple check the names. Because like that one just said, novice weapon hilt, but the novice blade hilt is what you need. It's going to take 1 Asherium bar. We're going to go ahead and craft that. I hope it's the novice blade hilt. And then now we will be able to go back with those 2 pieces, and we can actually make our dagger. So now we have made the 2 subcomponents to make our dagger, and then we click craft. This is also going to use weaponsmithing. So the novice hilt, though, I don't know if I pointed that out, but the hilt uses blacksmithing. So it's a completely different thing there. So you're going to be leveling up things together. A lot of your armor smithing is going to be using more blacksmithing, whereas weapons, if it's a blade, it's going to be using weaponsmithing a lot of the times when you make the actual blade, but when you're making the hilt for it, it's going to be using blacksmithing. Don't worry about that too much, but that's just to give you kind of an overview on how that works. So that is crafting your basic weapon. So now we have a crude Asherium dagger that we have made. Now, as we get higher up and we need to make more things that are going to start requiring like magic items, this one, for example, this is the next tier up. So tier 2 items requires this Celestium dust of health. These are going to drop off of mobs and only drop off of mobs. You cannot buy them anywhere else. So you can't go to the supplier and buy them. You can buy the Asherium rivets and those secondary components from the supplier, but you cannot get the Celestium dust of health. So when you're making magic items, you will have to kill these. These come from the Celestium dust specifically comes from harvesting nodes. So if you're cutting down a tree, you're harvesting a bush, you're skinning, those kind of things is where those come from. So I did say the mobs a second, you're going to kill mobs for those. The dust comes off of harvesting. I apologize. There's also going to be runes that you're going to get. They're going to be damaged runes. Those are going to drop off of mobs, and that's where you get to the tier 3 components. So the tier 3 components, you're going to see these different types of runes right here. So right over on that side, I think you can see it. It says damage insight rune. Those are going to come from mobs. I've mostly seen them on group mobs. So when you're fighting group mobs, they will drop. I think they can come off of solo mobs as well. They're just less common. So just be aware of that. We're not done yet, though. So once you get into tier 3, so that's basically your basic tier 1 stuff. Your tier 2 stuff are going to be schematics that you find in chests. So if you're running around and you see these little like chests or looking little boxes, you're going to open those up, and that's where your schematics are going to come from to start making these tier 2 and tier 3. The tier 2 stuff is going to be found in like Thrown Fast or Wild's End. Tier 3 stuff is going to be found in places like Eastern Plains or Silent Plains. That's where you're going to be finding the different schematics. Once you have the schematic, like these Brigandine boots, you're then going to do the same thing that you did before, but now we need to make the Novice Splinted boots, which is just going to use your basic stuff, right? I'm not going to make this one, but the Novice Splinted boots is going to be the Novice Splinted leather boots. Even though we're doing armor smithing, which is using metal, it still is a leather boot. So Novice Splinted leather boot basis. And that's going to take the Asherium plates again, and then the tattered leather panel. But we were making the Brigandine, Brigandine boots. Now, because it's tier 2, we have to make improved reinforcements. So that is different than the other one, which was the regular reinforcements. So in here, we need novice reinforcements for your basic stuff. This is going to do improved reinforcements, which is going to require an additional combination. So novice reinforcements. We're going to go right down here to, not novice, improved armor reinforcements. And that's going to take a Asherium plate and then tattered leather strips right there. Which is actually incorrect. So double check and make sure you're using the components properly, because what it actually needs when you do the improved, a lot of times is going to be a different combine, which is going to be the bronze, where you need to go over here And to make bronze, you're going to have to do this, which is going to take an Asherium lump and a copper nugget to make a bronze bar. So you see how that might work for when you get into tier 2. I don't want to keep beating that. I think you understand how to do the basics of it. Let's go over something much more difficult. So we're going to get into tier 3 and then how to do tier 3 stuff. That's going to be all in Demyth. Sorry that the sun went down in the middle of this video, but once you get to the point where you're starting to make tier 3 components, you're going to need to have a lot of different subcomponents. So what we're going to make is we're going to make the Spiritus Warhammer. The Spiritus Warhammer requires Insight Runed Hammerhead and then Eloquence Runed Hammerhead. You will notice that those are not on the normal vendors, like the weaponsmith vendor in this case, not on those. So what you're going to have to do is come all the way over here to Demyth, and in Demyth, you're going to find this trading company over here. So we're going to go over here to the trading company. And that's where you're going to be able to buy those upgraded crafting sub-components, is all the way over here in this place right here. So the Raven Trading Company. You can buy all your different sub-components from one of these vendors here. Just depends on which sub or which trade skill you're doing. So just go through them. This happens to be the weaponsmith one, which is the one we're working on. So this is where you're going to buy all of those components for the different tiers. So this starts with Infused. Infused is like a tier 2. And then you're going to be going up to Runed. So you got to look very, very closely on these, because if you don't read them perfectly, you will probably buy the wrong thing. But Vitality Infused Maulhead, for example. And then you have at tier 3 here, you have like the Might Infused, Might Runed Maulhead. They also have a Vitality Runed Maulhead, things like that. And then you also have the different halves. You have a small weapon haft, and then you have hilts. So you have small weapon or blade hilts. So just make sure you're reading exactly what you need from the recipe before you come over here and buy these. These are quite expensive, especially at the level that we are currently at. So you're talking like 1 gold, 50 silver to buy some of these things. So they can be very expensive. You don't want to mess that up if you can help it. Once you have purchased the exact thing that you need, you're then going to go back to your crafting station. And while we're doing that, we're going to go over the different things. So we have, I've been talking about these a bunch already, the different runes, the different runes and the dust, the Celestium dust. So you have 8 different, well, actually more than that. Let's go to the inventory over here, because there's actually 12 of them, I believe. So we have 12 different runes and 12 different dusts. I don't have all the dust here to show you, but I do have all the runes. So we have Damaged Health rune. This is going to give you health. We have the Endurance rune. Obviously, it's going to give you endurance. The Precision rune, we're not 100% sure what that gives, but we think that it's going to give you hit chance or hit rating. That you can find on some gear. Like, it would be for accuracy. You have Magic rune, which increases your mana pool directly. You have your Might rune, which is going to be strength. So these are going to be, the rest of these are going to be associated directly with your stats over here. So we have Might rune is going to be your strength. Whoop, there it is, Might rune. Stamina rune is vitality, or Vitality rune is stamina. Your Resilience rune is constitution. Your Fleetness rune is agility. Prowess rune is dexterity. Acuity rune is intelligence. Insight rune is wisdom. And your Eloquence rune is charisma. So that's what's going to dictate the item that you are making. So finally, now that we have all of the things that we need, we can go back over here. What we are going to be making is this Warhammer. The Warhammer is going to be an Insight Runed Warhammer. So we know Insight Runed is Wisdom, so it's going to have Wisdom on it. And the second stat is going to be Eloquence Runed Small Weapon Haft, so we know it's going to have Charisma. So this is going to be a +2 or 3. I can't remember which one is which, but one of these is going to be +3, and one of these is going to be +2. I believe the Eloquence is going to be +3. I think the Small Weapon Haft. Anyway, we'll find out here at the end. So we have to make these two things, and it's going to be Insight and Charisma. We already bought the scale glue from the supplier, so you can just go over to the supplier and buy the scale glue, but we have to craft everything else. So let's start with the pommel. We've already purchased the pommel recipe, so we are going to type in pommel here. We need to make a simple pommel weight. Be very careful here. It says pommel, but you could accidentally, oh, this is a pommel weight, right? I want to put this pommel in. No, you cannot do that. Unfortunately, it will not fit. Sometimes it randomly does, which is an error on their part. So you might, if something doesn't fit, you might have to make something different. But you do have to make a simple pommel because we're making stuff out of iron. This is tier 3. So we're going to make the simple pommel weight. Go ahead and craft that. And then we're going to come back over here. And you can see that we now have the pommel. Okay, so we've got that piece. Let's do the Insight Runed Hammerhead. So Insight Runed Hammerhead. So as you can see here, we have the Insight Infused Hammerhead. That's not the one we want. We have to make sure we're buying or making the Insight Runed Hammerhead. It's a different piece. I forgot my coal, but I have all the other pieces. And this is where those damaged runes and Celestium dust are going to go into, is in this part of the craft. So let's go back over here. We're going to get our coal. Shift, buy or grab 1 coal. I don't think we're going to need a second coal. Go ahead and close that down. All right, so let's go back here. We're going to do Insight Runed Hammerhead. We have all the things. Moonseed oil. This is another subcomponent that you will have to get from an alchemist. They can make it at level 1 alchemy, but you do have to go and get moonflowers, I believe is what they're called, and then 5 moonflowers plus 1 water, and an alchemist can make that. So you do at tier 3 have to start making subcombines from other classes, whereas in tier 2 and tier 1 you can buy those off of the supplier. So once we have all of these items, we hit craft, and it's going to make us a shaft or whatever this thing is, the head, the maul head. Where did it go? I don't see it anywhere. Oh, that's because it went into my inventory over here. So it made this right here, Insight Runed Iron Hammer Head. You can see on here, this is +3 wisdom. So we know that that's going to add +3 wisdom to our finished item. So we go back to the Warhammer. And on the Warhammer screen here, we can see that we have the Insight Runed. Now we just need the Eloquence Runed Small Weapon Haft. I don't know why it's a small weapon haft when we're making a Warhammer, but that is what it is. So we're going to do a Small Weapon Haft, and we need to make the Eloquence Runed Small Weapon Haft. I already have all the items. Again, this is going to be using your Eloquence Rune and your Celestium Dust of Eloquence. And then the item that you can buy, and then iron bars. We're going to go ahead and do that. And then we have all of the items that we need to finally make the Warhammer. You can see how ridiculous this is and honestly needs to be changed. But this is our Eloquence Runed Iron Weapon Haft, which is going to give us +2 Charisma. So now we're going to have +3 Wisdom, +2 Charisma, and then we need these items to basically put it all together. And we hit craft for the final recipe here. And finally, we have our weapon, which is this right here. A one-handed mace with 3 wisdom, 2 charisma. I thought this was going to be a 2-handed weapon. It is not. So I actually have a better one-handed weapon. But there you go. That is the final item. And you can see, you know, all the different steps that you have to do. Anyway, hopefully that helps people out. I know it's a very long-winded explanation and it goes through every single step, but I really do hope that helps people out.